about relaxation. So I wanted to have a sort of low to the ground, gentle, more relaxing, sort of nurturing, nourishing class to give today. Hi, Jackie. Because we are coming off of one holiday, and then it feels like if you celebrate Christmas, it feels like it's like hyperdrive until the end of the year, I find, in my body. So it's nice to kind of have some moments built into the week where we intentionally slow down. We intentionally take time to open, to create ease in the body, to create ease in the mind, and just do a little bit of savoring rather than rushing through and kind of like gritting. So that's the invitation tonight, is for some savoring, opening, and gentle myofascial release for especially the upper back, shoulders, and neck, because that tends to be a space that stress often manifests. And then toward the end of the class, we'll sort of slide into the lower body, the warming the legs and getting into the hips a little more as well. And I'll invite you all into sort of earlier in the class, a little bit of pranayama, some breath work. So that'll be sort of the flow that we're working toward tonight, and just creating some space, ease, feelings of nourishment and nurturing. So get into a seat that feels comfortable. And this can be anything, cross-legged. Your legs can be extended if that feels more comfortable to you. Sort of taking on a meditative seat. And I invite you to start to deepen your breath here. So really give yourself a moment to fill up nice and full. And exhale nice and deeply. So as you start to become more in control of the breath, you'll notice that the exhalation is really where the sweetness is, because the deepened exhale, the lengthened exhale, is what triggers the body to come into the parasympathetic nervous system. So our rest, restore, digest space, rather than our fight, flight, freeze space. So see if you can really focus your awareness on bringing that exhale to its most rich capacity. And you may notice in your body that you suddenly start to soften in the areas of the neck, and the shoulders, the abdominals. And you can try exhaling from the mouth, from the nose, inhaling from the nostrils and the mouth, and just see how it feels. There's no right or wrong way to take a breath in, so choose which one feels best for you. If you're noticing that there's some warmth in the body or extra heat, pursing the lips is a really nice way to draw in a very cool breath. So you can kind of play with those tools as well. Obviously, speeding the breath and creating more rigor around the breath is going to create a little more heating if that's what you feel like you desire in your body. But just start to notice how all of the different ways that you can breathe in and out can inform the way your body feels. Maybe closing the eyes. Feeling the length of the spine. And now we'll start to invite in a little bit of movement. So as you inhale, begin to Tilt the pelvis forward. Release the heart forward. Maybe even tuck the elbows so they're trying to touch together behind the back. And as you exhale, begin to round the upper back, dropping the chin down toward your chest. This is really a movement that we're creating in the spine. So we inhale, reach the heart forward. Exhale, soften and round. Inhale, reaching the heart forward. Shoulders draw back, chin lifts. Exhale, rounding. And that same attention to your exhale, really feeling the belly empty, only to refill again. And then start to notice how much movement you can get in the spine here, just in exploring this bit of flexion and extension that we're finding. In and out. And your hands can rest where they feel comfortable. They can be kind of drooped down to the side. They can be on the knees if you want a little extra leverage. Let's take 3 more rounds here. Heart reaches forward. Belly draws in. Chin to chest, rounding the shoulders. Final round here. And now let the arms come out to the side. Touch the left fingertips down to the floor. Take a big inhale to extend your right arm up and over. And then take a big exhale to reach. Really getting length through that right side body. And feel that right sits bone or glute really anchoring down onto the mat so you feel a nice stretch through the right ribs. Inhale, coming back up to center, touch the right fingertips down, left arm extends up and over. As you exhale, deepen that fold over to the side. Nice lateral stretch. Again, allowing that left sits bone this time to really anchor down. And then taking a couple with some movement. Inhale, rise. Exhale, opposite side. Empty the full breath. Inhale brings you back to center. Exhale fans you immediately to the opposite side. Taking 3 more rounds with your breath. Nice focus on the exhale here. Continuing to get deeper into that parasympathetic nervous system. Final round, 1 to each side. Inhale, both arms extend out to the side. Right hand comes over to reach across and hook onto the left knee, taking a twist. Take a big breath in. Exhale, gaze over your left shoulder as you deepen your twist. 3 breaths here. Inhale, extending those arms out to the side, big reach. Exhale, left crosses over to right knee. Gazes over that right shoulder. 3 breaths. Inhale, coming back to center. And now preparing ourselves to come into a breath flow. So we're going to come into a pranayama, nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breath. So if you haven't taken this breath work before, I'm actually going to come closer so you can see me really well. You're going to come into a nice tripod seat. So you want to have your hips gently lifted. So this can be on a blanket, block, bolster, whatever you have under your seat. Pillow is fine. And then you're going to allow the knees to just gently fall out to the sides. So you're in this crisscross position and the knees are just gently coming out to the sides. Now it's super important here for the carriage of the chest and the spine to be really active. So we want to have a nice tall seat. This is imperative in like kind of squeezing the juice out of the pranayama or the breath work. And we'll take the right hand and you'll take your peace fingers and tuck them in to your palm. So they're kind of resting just below the thumb. So you have your pinky finger and ring free, and you have your thumb free. And so you'll take your thumb and you'll just gently press it over your right nostril, drawing a breath in through the left nostril. And when you get all the way to the top, you're going to place your fingers over your left nostril and then exhale through your right. Good. And then we take an inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Inhaling. Close, exhaling. Inhaling. Close, exhaling. Good, inhaling again. Close, exhaling. Inhale. Close, exhale. So keep with this breath. Nice and easy. It should be barely audible leaving the breath, leaving the nostrils. Nice and slow. The Nadi Shodhana breathing helps us to balance the both left and right sides of the brain. Usually one is more active than the other in any given moment. It also helps to clear the nasal pathways, helps to balance hormones, which can contribute to releasing extra weight in some body types. It's very calming for the nervous system. It's safe for just about everyone to do. If you do have a severe respiratory issue that materializes, you can also do this without any hands. You can just simply energetically breathe into one side and then out of the other as well. So if you are having some nasal congestion that feels like it's kind of getting in the way, totally appropriate to drop that hand and just allow the breath to move from one side to the other. You'll start to feel some fluidity more so on one side than the other, and then it might transition to the opposite side. Just start to notice how this breath shows up in the body. Continuing for about a minute longer. Good, and then the next time you take an exhale out of the left nostril, You'll release from your pranayama and then just take a couple of fluid breaths in and out of both nostrils together. Noticing any whispers that the pranayama has left behind, any sensations, feelings. Giving yourself a moment to acknowledge the work of the pranayama. Allowing it to settle in the body as we move into our first yin posture of the evening. So my intention was for 2 blocks to be used in this next posture. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. So I will demonstrate with the blocks and then I'll demonstrate without them. So the first block will be on its medium height toward the front of your mat. And the position of the body is going to start in all fours. Your second block is going to be on the lowest height, about 6 inches further in, maybe a little less, 4 to 6 inches further in, depending on your anatomy. And what it is a modified puppy dog pose. So my hips stay lifted, my torso and my heart start to sink down, and I'm going to rest my cheek on my first lowest block. And then I'm going to rest my right arm on my second block, my block that's outstretched. And then I'm going to kind of let my weight drop here. If you don't have blocks, no problem. You will reach the right arm out and you will simply let that left shoulder rock onto the floor. If it feels good to have the right or the left hand tucked under, I have my left shoulder kind of resting a bit against my first block where my cheek is resting. That's also an option for you if you want to deepen your twist a little bit here. And then feel your breath slowing down as you really allow your weight to be held by your props. And we'll be here for about another minute and a half. So see if you can let yourself be really heavy in this shape. And then slowly start to unwind out of your shape, rising back to all fours, and position your block so you can easily start to work toward the other side. So your top block, furthest away from you, is going to slide to the opposite side to rest the left arm on. Now the right cheek will come down and rest, left arm rests on the block or your mat, And then you can slide that right arm out toward the left side of your mat. So your right shoulder starts to come down toward the floor. Remembering that the tailbone stays lifted here. Breathing into that space. Space in the rib cage, space in the shoulders, taking about 30 more seconds here on this side. And now slowly start to come out of your twist, coming back onto your seat with a nice tall spine. Taking a moment to again observe how that stretch and how that ease landed in the body where it showed up. And now we're going to drop the chin down to the chest and just make some half moon circles with the neck. So the chin drops down, right ear drops toward right shoulder, and then opposite. Chin drops down, left ear toward left shoulder. So we're just crossing the front of the body here. And start to notice how the neck feels, if there's any tension in the neck on either side. And if you do discover some in a certain area, feel free to hang there for a moment and just let the weight of your head work as a myofascial release for you. Otherwise, if you feel pretty open on both sides, you can continue just with this rotating back and forth. Good, and then come back to center. Interlace your fingers and draw the forearms together. And then bring your chin on top of your fingers. So it's like your chin is kind of resting on top of this little post. If you've ever done Bikram yoga, this is a sample of a warm-up from Bikram yoga. And so now you'll release your palms, separate your elbows, press your chin down toward your chest and flare your elbows out to the side. So feel that resistance against your chin too. So you're kind of pressing your fingers against your chin. And now start to draw the elbows back together, lifting the chin, pressing the gaze up toward the ceiling. Exhale, elbows flare, chin drops. Inhale, pressing the forearms back together, lifting the chin, gaze lifts, and back and forth you go. So exhale, presses the chin downward. Inhale rocks the chin up and back. We're getting some activity through the front and the back of the neck. Completing 3 more rounds of movement. For 2, 1, last round. Press that chin down and exhale as you lift the chin up. And now preparing, slowly bringing the chin back to a neutral, preparing for our next yin posture. For this one, either 2 blocks or no blocks. And I like to set my blocks on the second highest setting, so that medium setting. And you're gonna bring them out toward the front of your mat, and they're gonna be elbows distance away from the distance of your shoulders. So we're coming into a supported anahatasana, or a supported puppy dog pose. So the elbows reach down onto the blocks. If you need to take a little measurement, go ahead and take a little measurement before you completely settle in. And then you'll simply let the heart drop down. You might walk the elbows forward a little bit. Let the heart drop down and let the head drop toward the mat. Now, if you don't have blocks, no problem. You can extend your arms forward and simply allow the chest to come down toward the mat. It might not completely make it, that's okay. You can also rest a little stack of books under your arms. Anything that'll give you a stable surface here is totally fine. That can support the weight of the upper body. Finding some release in the chest, through the rib cage, finding ease and softness in the neck here. If this sensation becomes too potent for you, you can simply lift your body up and then drop your blocks onto a lower setting. So they can come all the way down to that low setting, and that will give you a little less of that deep sensation. Staying here for about another 1.5 minutes. About another 30 seconds. And now slowly begin to release out of your pose and simply allow the hips to settle back, release the blocks from under your arms, and allow yourself to come into a child's pose. And from your child's pose, wrap your arms around your body so that your arms come down by your feet to release that pressure off of your shoulders. And let the hips soften back toward the heels, reaching down toward the floor. Totally appropriate to rest one cheek to the side if that feels more comfortable for you. Good, breathing here for 3 more breaths and just allowing yourself to absorb all of the movements that we have created in the upper body up to this moment. All of the work in the neck, in the shoulders, in the spine, in the chest, in the arms. Allow it all to work its way around the body and settle in. And also notice anything that it's brought to the surface, any feelings, emotions, sensations. As the observer, just acknowledge those feelings and allow them to pass on by. And then slowly begin to extend your arms out toward the front of your mat as you slowly make your way to your first downward facing dog. Perhaps one of the more rigorous poses we'll get into this evening. So spread the fingertips nice and wide. Take your time getting into your downward facing dog, lifting your hips up and back, maybe even with bent knees to start with. Allow that tailbone to extend up behind you. Maybe you take a couple times lifting and lowering the heels here with an in and out breath. Taking any little movements that feel necessary in the body for you to feel settled and engaged. And now inhale to extend your right leg up behind you. Bend your right knee and reach your right heel in towards your left glute. So you're finding a hip opener here. And then make some nice big circles with that right knee. And then slowly come forward with an inhale, drawing the knee in toward the chest and then gently stepping that right foot through your hands. Always totally appropriate to utilize blocks on the outsides of the right knee. And we're going to soften the left knee down. So we're coming into a low lunge here. Good. So we'll be coming in and out of a low lunge and a half Hanumanasana, half split pose. So allow the inhale to reach the arms up. We'll exhale to goal post the arms out to the side. Release the chest forward. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hands soften either to blocks or the mat as you slide the hips back and straighten your front leg, drawing the right toes in toward the belly. So this is sort of a multi-step movement. We'll inhale, come back forward. Exhale, release the arms. Inhale, reach the heart forward. Exhale, extend arms overhead. Reaching down towards your blocks or the floor and sliding the hips back. Flex the front toes. Inhale forward. Take it in one step at a time. Exhale, arms. Inhale, bend. Exhale, extend. Inhale, arms sweep down, hips sweep back. Exhale, toes in toward the midline. Inhale forward and reach. Bend the elbows. Extend up toward the ceiling and then slide the hips back. Good. If you want to start to do this without the support of your hands, that's fine too. So you'll come forward, reach up, elbows bend, heart forward, arms extend, and then you'll simply sweep the hands back behind the hips as you straighten your front leg. Good. This adds a little more challenge for the balance. So take whatever feels good for you tonight, and then start to make this one big fluid motion with your breath. In and out you go. Sort of like a dance. Notice how the body starts to warm with this motion that we've created. We'll take one more round. Final round, coming into the lunge. Opening the elbows. This time we'll extend up. We'll reach the hands down. Separate the blocks if you've got them. Step back to plank pose as we transition sides. Option for a vinyasa here if that's in your practice, or you'll send the hips straight up and back to downward facing dog. Taking 5 breaths. Inhale, extend the left leg with your next breath. Reach that left heel into the right glute. Open that hip. Big circles with your knee. Final circle. On your next exhale, draw that knee into the chest and step the foot through. Soften right knee down to the mat. Good. Blocks come to either side. Hips press down and forward. Let that inhale lift the arms high. Goalpost the arms out to the sides. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands come down either to your blocks, or maybe they already sweep behind you. I like to take it slow in the beginning and then kind of rev it up. So we're in our half Hanuman. Rocking forward into the low lunge. Arms rise. Elbows come out to the side. Good. So start to pace it with your rhythm, the rhythm of your breath. Coming in and out of this flow. Feel the engagement of the abdominals. Feel the length in the hip flexors as you move. Feel the length in the posterior line of the left leg as you straighten that leg and come into that nice forward fold. We will be getting to a little more forward folding later on in the class. So find your rhythm and your pace. Really allow the breath to be the puppeteer here. We'll take 2 more rounds. Let that final round carry you back up to your low lunge. Exhale, hands come down. To release your blocks, press into your mat, slide the left foot back to meet the right, and find your vinyasa to downward facing dog. Inhale, come up onto the tiptoes. Exhale, begin to walk the feet to meet the hands. Good. So coming into our forward fold-in posture here. Take a soft bend in the knees and allow the torso to rest toward the thighs. Maybe even clasping opposite elbows, and let the weight of the head dangle down toward the floor, creating lots of space in the spine. And feel some space in the low back. Good. You can shake your head out yes and no here, if that would feel good to you. If you feel the hamstrings starting to open and maybe offer a little more space to you, you can straighten the knees a little bit if you want to intensify this posture. Conversely, if it's feeling like too much, you can rest your hands down on a block for a little relief for your arms, or you can just take a softer bend in the knees here. Good, hanging for about 30 more seconds. Good. While you're dangling, find a block and start to position that block where your sacrum would be if you were to come into a yogi squat. So if you were to drop your hips down, place that block. And if you're really not so new to this pose, it's no big deal for you. You can put it on the lowest setting, or you can skip the block altogether if you don't need any support. You can also put it on a higher setting if you know this pose is a little tender for your hips. And then slowly start to lift the chest as the hips drop down, bending the knees, pressing the heels against the mat, and bringing your hands to heart center to come into Malasana, squat pose. And just give yourself a moment here to take some nice, deep, full breaths, again, focusing intentionally on your exhale as you allow the blood flow to return back to its natural pattern after you've experienced that deep inversion of the forward fold. Feeling the heart rate stabilize. Feeling length in the spine. Feel yourself growing taller as you allow the sits bones to grow more heavy toward your block or the mat. And we'll stay here for about 1 more minute. And then slowly, we'll release the block and come to sit all the way down on your mat. And extend your legs out in a nice wide V. So we're coming into a straddle position. And so in this straddle position, we're going to be hanging out again in a forward fold for an extended amount of time. So allow this to be like 75 to 80% of what your body actually can handle in a straddle. So we're not going to make this kind of a hot, more young posture. We're going to go for a more cooling, more relaxing version of this posture. So I really want it to feel safe in the body and something that you can tolerate for about 3 to plus minutes. So I like to have a block here. Also, you can rest a bolster. If you have a pillow or a bolster, you can rest that over your block. It just gives a nice kind of like soft landing place for the arms and for the chest. So position yourself in the way you need to be able to be positioned so that you can hinge forward, but you can still be in a restful space and you can tolerate that opening that's happening in the legs. So you might use, a blanket and a pillow. You might really stack things up tall here, but just give yourself a really comfortable place to lean forward. And if that's just the use of your blocks, that's totally fine too. And so maybe you use your arms kind of as a pillow here and just let yourself hinge forward from the hips. Don't worry too much about a little bit of rounding in the upper spine. If that's happening in yin, that's okay. We don't want a big curvature in the back. You do want to kind of create that space in your spine. But if you are tilting forward and your shoulders are caving just a little bit, that's okay for tonight. So just allow yourself to come into this nice, gentle forward folded position. And if more sensation is what you desire, you can simply drop your block or to a lower setting, or you can remove one of your props to make this posture more intense for you if that's what you want. Starting to make your way out of this forward fold. Slowly, slowly, thoughtfully start to bring your torso back to an upright shape. And remove your props out of your way. You will be taking a block with you for this next, and maybe even a blanket if that would be comfortable for you. But at least one block with you for our final yin posture of the evening to close out the practice. And I actually want to give you some choices here. So walk your knees in, and you can just do like some little butterfly in and outs here if that feels good to release any tension that might have grown in the hips. So we're either going to end the practice this evening with a supported heart opener or a supported inversion. So this is what it'll look like. If you're taking the heart opener, you can take your block really depending on the flexibility of your chest and the openness of your chest on any height. If you know that you can really go for it and you want to bring this all the way up to the top, that's totally fine. If you want to drop it all the way down to the bottom, that's also fine. If you want to roll up a blanket or a towel so it's a softer surface, again, totally fine. You can kind of choose your own adventure with that. But what you'll do is you'll come right to the thoracic spine and you'll simply allow the head to rest back onto the mat. So you're allowing yourself to kind of drape over your block at any setting. That's the first thing that you can do. And if that's what you're choosing, go ahead and come down into it and start that experience. If you're more interested in an inversion, what you'll do is you'll lift your hips and you'll tuck your block under your sacrum. And for this one, we'll actually extend the legs up toward the ceiling. So you're in this really nice supported modified shoulder stand. Again, you can take the block on any setting that feels supportive to you, highest, lowest, or maybe even just a blanket for a gentle lift. But choose the posture that you'd like to get into, and we will be holding it for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And allow yourself to really be held by the prop. Feel its willingness to support you. When you take all the muscles away, all the effort away, notice that it's there for you to support. Start to make your way out of your pose, or if you're in that supported heart opener and you'd like to stay there for Shavasana, you're welcome to. Otherwise, safely bring your legs back down if you've taken an inversion, remove your block, and allow the entire spine to rest down onto the mat. Extending your legs down the length of the mat, preparing yourself for Shavasana. If you have a blanket handy that you want to drape over your body, go ahead and start to position yourself for maximum comfort. And begin to settle into your final resting posture. Shava pose. Ramadasa Sasi Supam Ramadasa Sasi Supam Rama Tassa Sasi So. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Begin to deepen your breath. And start to invite movements back into the body. Feeling yourself bringing your awareness back into your surrounding area. Sight, sound, sensations, movement in the fingertips and the toes. And extend the arms up and overhead when it feels right to do so, giving yourself a big fingertip to toe stretch out. And eventually bringing your body back to a comfortable cross-legged seat on your mat. Feeling yourself upright again. And then just bringing one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Taking a moment to cherish these last little bits of evening sadhana that we have together. Feeling the breath moving in and out, feeling all of the little aftershocks of all the postures that you've
assumed tonight. And bow your head for a moment to give yourself praise and honor and love for taking time to nourish your body with movement, with breath work, and for making a little space to take it easy on a Wednesday evening. And I give you all my utmost gratitude for the honor of being your teacher tonight. It is truly my joy. Namaste. Thank you all so much. Please let me know if you have any questions or anything happening in your body that you want to share. You can contact me privately, or I'll be hanging out for a couple minutes after class to take any questions. And I hope
that class was yummy.
Oh, thank you.